This episode is part of an ongoing story. If you're new here, you might want to start with episode 1. And now, the story continues.
Emma sat in the auditorium beside Chris. She fidgeted with her purse, silencing her phone and checking her makeup. They used the ticket she had purchased for her parents when she thought she'd be in the production. Settled in the front row, she'd certainly capture Lee's attention. She had felt strong when she finally agreed to join Chris. In the days after, she entered messages to him at least 4 times, giving excuses why she needed to bail. Each time she erased the text before sending. Other than her ache to be backstage with Lee, she genuinely wanted to see him as Edmund. Perhaps her presence would be a show of confidence that they would always be friends, as she had said. The group of benefactors she'd worked to impress weeks earlier had gifted the large theater to the school. Each row of red fold-up seats displayed a plaque on the end with the name of a donor. The gold wainscoted walls led up to a red velour curtain, where Lee could have already peeked out and seen her. She cast a nervous glance around for Kira, wondering if he had ever told her about the night he'd shared with his old scene partner. Perhaps to start fresh, he'd confessed. She imagined Lee would look out after his performance and smile at his girlfriend, his loving supporter. She couldn't spot Kira, but she did meet eyes with Brent, who looked at her sadly. Assuming he felt sorry for her that she'd gotten so sick she couldn't do the show, as that was the excuse she gave, she smiled and waved. "No worries, Brent. I'll get the next one." At least, that's what she hoped her gesture conveyed. According to her program, Springtime Sonnet went on last. Intent on relaxing, Emma took a breath and prepared to enjoy the sketches. These were her people, perfecting their craft in a world she loved. Who could not enjoy it? She kept up friendly chatter with Chris when appropriate to do so between scenes, but got quiet leading up to Springtime Sonnet. Chris laid a hand over hers, stopping the trembling in her fingers. The curtain opened, and Lee emerged. Emma held her breath as though it could somehow freeze the moment. She'd met Heather, the new Lady Jane, in class but knew little about her. A blue-eyed blonde, she wore her long hair in a tight bun with curls spilling out all around. Her narrow blue Victorian dress sloped at the shoulders. The layers of petticoats underneath the skirt made it blossom from her waist. Emma hadn't seen the costume before she'd quit. The sight of it made her want to bawl ugly-faced tears. She should be the one on stage wearing that beautiful gown, and she would have been if she hadn't acted so stupid. Lee looked incredible in his navy blue suit with a long coat. The buttons up the front formed a V from his navel to the collar. His hat had a wide brim, with a flat, round top. Committed to ignoring Lady Jane, Emma focused on Lee. She imagined being on stage with him, and that he spoke to her with every line. When they got to the kiss, she couldn't watch. She closed her eyes and pictured Lee kissing her, the way he'd done so many times in rehearsal. The lights dimmed to signal the end of the skit, and then brightened again for the cast to take a bow. She rose to her feet and clapped for Lee, proud of what he'd accomplished. Lee smiled directly at her, never moving his eyes. They stared at each other until the cast members from the other skits came back to the stage for another bow. Why didn't he look at Kira? She didn't understand, but in some small way, his connection to her comforted her. Unable to withstand the intensity any longer, Emma asked Chris to walk her out. They stood in the foyer, reminding her of the night it all started, when Kira left with someone else, and Lee followed her home. "Our boy looked good, didn't he?" Chris asked. "Yeah, he was amazing. I'm gonna go see if I can find him and say hi. You coming?" "I think we said hi in our own way in there." "Okay, well, I'll be back in a minute." While waiting for him to return, waves of patrons exited the theater. A thought occurred to her as she drifted back in. A few stragglers stood talking to one another. Emma climbed the stairs of the stage and watched from behind the curtain, waiting impatiently for them to leave. Then she'd have the chance to step out and experience the view she would have seen that day if everything hadn't gone wrong. She willed them to hurry along, baffled by what could have them so deeply interested that they'd just stand there gabbing away. "Wasn't the same without you." Lee's voice made her heart drop to her knees. Hesitantly, she turned to face him. He'd changed from his costume into his normal jeans and t-shirt that clung to his body. Chris gave her a salute from the corner and then left them to speak in private. "You did great anyway," she said. "How did it feel?" His eyes flickered and he gave a half shrug. "Amazing." Emma beamed at him, happy he'd had a wonderful experience. "I was worried you were going to leave," he said. "I've been wanting to tell you everything, but I didn't think you'd answer if I called you. Then the rehearsal schedule's been so intense. I really didn't know, Emma. It took me longer to figure it out." "Wait, what are you talking about?" "I'm in love with you." Emma stood astounded at his words. The feeling of despair she'd lived in the last weeks faded away, replaced by a burning light that emanated hope. "What?" "I do want to be with you, Emma. I just didn't realize it until you stormed out of my life." His message came through, but she had a hard time making it stick. She looked up at him in awe. "But what about Kira?" "We broke up. She agreed we felt obligated to each other, but neither of us wanted to be together anymore." Still fuzzy, she stared at him blankly. "Say it again?" Lee grinned. "That Kira and I broke up?" "No, the other thing." Lee ran the back of his hand down her cheek. "I love you." Letting out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding, Emma said, "I love you too." They reached for one another, and he kissed her with the intensity they'd shared so often before. Only this time she had nothing to feel guilty or upset about. Lee loved her. He chose her. "You have no idea how much I miss that," he said. "Everything felt so wrong without you." She rubbed his bottom lip with her thumb. "I missed you too." He took both of her hands in his and laid his forehead gently on hers. "Does this mean I can have my key back?" Admiring his cute way to break the intense conversation, she giggled. "It's all yours." "Come here, baby." Lee took her hand and led her out to center stage. "We still have an audience. They should see it with the right Lady Jane." Emma gaped at him. "Really?" He nodded, urging her to start. Standing in her long-sleeve red dress, Emma began her lines as Lady Jane. Together, they performed their skit for the leftover crowd of 3, who moved to the front row to watch them. Chris reemerged and observed from backstage. Emma radiated in her role, provoking a kind member of the lighting crew to turn the spotlight back on. She felt the warmth of that light and looked out to the people in front, just as she had dreamed. Finishing the presentation, Lee clapped along with the others while Emma took a bow. "Thank you for that," she said. Chris smirked at them as they exited the stage toward him. "It's about damn time," he said. "You two were driving me crazy." "You guys want to go to Drip?" Emma asked. "What I want is to take you home," Lee said. He grinned at the way her face lit up to his suggestion. "There's plenty of time for that later," Chris said. "How about hang out with the guy that helped you get together? Besides, I need to talk to Emma about the wing girl thing. She's supposed to talk me up to some ladies in step aerobics." "Oh boy," Emma said. Lee put an arm around Emma's shoulder. "Come on, Elizabeth. Let's go get some coffee."
Street lights paint the window pane. Another quiet, lonely night. Echoes of a distant rain were hashing out the fading light. And I'm watching the colors fade to gray, like a memory I can't hold. Wishing I could find a way to a story left untold. This old sweater holds your scent, a bittersweet and gentle ghost. Every word you ever meant is what I find I miss the most. Thanks for listening to What Happens Between the Scenes. If you like our story, we hope you will recommend it to your friends who love romance. Look for other types of stories coming soon from the Purple Butterfly Archive.